The following is a recollection of the therapeutic treatment and rehabilitation of a paranoid schizophrenic over the span of a year. Caleb, the patient, experienced a psychotic episode and had to eventually be hospitalized. Due to this, his family has become very worried about him and asked him to attend his first therapy session with Dr. Trednick. Here is a recording of the first session with Caleb.
Hello, Caleb. First thing I want to let you know is that this is a safe place and nothing you can say here can be used against you. Would you like to start by telling me what's been going on and why you're here today?
Well, thanks, Doctor. I guess all this began around 9 months ago when I realized that some of the voices in my head weren't my own. Then about 2 days ago, they finally took control of me.
And that's when you went to the hospital?
Yes, but the problem is, they still talk to me.
And what do they say, Caleb?
Well, I don't know. It just depends. I just know they're not mine. They're scrambled, but I don't know where they're coming from.
And have you been experiencing any other symptoms besides the voices?
I don't know. It feels like people they're plotting against me. I'm scared. I'm scared, Doctor. I also can't seem to think the way everyone else does.
Caleb, I want you to know that this is something that we can help you with, and you don't need to be afraid of the voices or the people around you. We are here to help.
Yeah, but Doctor, what do I do about it?
I recommend that you and I continue to talk until we can find the route of your problem or way in which we can treat it.
Yeah, that's what my family wanted me to do.
I wish the best for you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you sometime soon.
After this meeting, the psychiatric team decided that the therapist would meet with Caleb in 1 week to see how his condition was progressing. From what they learned in the first meeting, they decided that at the next meeting he would be prescribed a medication to take once a day called olanzapine. Olanzapine is usually given to people of Caleb's age and is known as a newer generation atypical antipsychotic drug. The drug helps the patient by changing certain neural substances in the brain. If taken correctly, olanzapine can produce improvements in Caleb's cognition, particularly in improving his interest in life and in erasing inappropriate behavior. Also, the CBT, also known as cognitive behavioral therapy, will continue in the upcoming therapy session, along with the therapist's sense of kindness towards Caleb. Therapists can obviously connect with schizophrenic patients much better when they talk to them in a kind, caring manner. Furthermore, once someone has been diagnosed with schizophrenia, sadly, treatment for the patient will continue for the patient's entire life, no matter how well their condition progresses. However, luckily today we have therapies such as cognitive behavioral to ensure that a sense of happiness can be instilled into the cognition of the patient.
Hello, Caleb. It is great to see you today. Tell me how this last week has been for you.
Well, I've noticed a little difference myself. I can't interact with others, even just my family. I just have outbursts of inappropriate speech and actions. They've increased, and I don't want to make bad impressions on people.
Caleb, I want to let you know something. You will always be valued. Also, there is no way for you to make a bad impression on someone because your ability to empathize with people is simply a stronger force than your outbreaks.
Well, you say people love me and care for me. Why do I feel so hopeless all the time? Why have these thoughts affected me in ways so that I act inappropriate? I don't even fit in anymore. With my family or friends, I can't even talk to them. My thoughts are just cluttered. What was that? Wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, my thoughts are just overall cluttered.
Caleb, what you need to do is relax and try as hard as you can to understand you are not at fault. But as for right now, I want you to rate your level of distress on a 1 to 10 scale.
Stop it! Don't. Oh. I would have to say square. I mean 7.
Now, Caleb, why do you think this would be a 7?
The voices, they control me. They made me eat with my cat. I can't even sleep on my bed. I have to be under it. Sometimes I try to go outside through my windows, shattered. By the way, I see my family reacting to these things. I feel the disconnection is growing larger and larger. There's nothing I can do about it. The voices, they're controlling me. I can't do anything about it. I'm not productive. They aren't even coming from my head anymore. My ceiling, it's starting to talk to me.
Caleb, you must realize that there is no personal connection between you and your actions. What I mean by personal connection is that these irrational actions don't have any connection to you, Caleb, and what kind of person you are. You, Caleb, are truly something different from these actions. Essentially, the voices causing these actions don't pertain to you. Also, on another note, we need to rationalize things sometimes. If these voices are coming sometimes from the ceiling, why can't anyone else hear them?
Dr. Trednick, I've lost myself with all these voices. I don't even know it's me anymore. They're all over. I can't separate it from my own thoughts. I just want to be able to tell the difference between what's me and what's not. He's coming to get me. I want you to help me understand what I can do to make sure these actions aren't me, that I'm separate.
Well, Caleb, I'm glad you were wondering this because it leads us to my final focus of today's session. Throughout these coming weeks, I want you to do 2 things every day. First, I have already told your family that I'm going to prescribe you to a new antipsychotic drug called olanzapine. It is a bit more expensive than the better-known ones, but olanzapine has been shown to help people suffering from schizophrenia gain back that sense of connection with themselves and their families. It has reduced side effects in comparison to other antipsychotic drugs that are commonly used to treat schizophrenia. I want you to keep a diary of the most productive things you accomplished that day. For example, Caleb, you wouldn't write down that you ate breakfast with the cat. You would write down that you fed the cat and cleaned up the house of the cat hair. Caleb, if you are diligent and consistent of writing in this diary every night, I promise you will begin to see again who the real Caleb is. You will also start to see the irrationality in some of your actions. With that said, Caleb, I want you to understand that any consequence you think you are at fault for, you are not.
Thank you, doctor. I really appreciate you trying to help me.
As the year went by and time progressed, Caleb started to see who he actually was and to realize that these voices weren't a part of him. The voices subsided gradually, much due to him taking the newly created antipsychotic drug known as olanzapine regularly every day. Also, him taking a diary helped greatly because it was something of substance that he could use to visually see his improvement over time. Looking at his diary every night showed him that he was making progress in his recovery from schizophrenia. Obviously, over time, Caleb and the therapist met more regularly to see how his condition was progressing. Every meeting, the therapist asked Caleb what number he would say could represent his distress on the 1 to 10 scale, and notably, each meeting it went slightly down. However, if it weren't for the therapist adding in something new to the cognitive behavioral process of the therapy sessions, Caleb would not be where he is today. This new process involved the therapist asking Caleb to create a drawing that could describe the world in some way. Over time, the therapeutic team could see that Caleb's drawings were turning from cluttered, gloomy portraits into peaceful, well-drawn images, usually displaying Caleb finding solace in the people around him. The drawings gained such widespread praise, Caleb and his family now donate them to different child care organizations and mental health care organizations around the world. This is because the image it displays is very happy and the story of the artist is very inspiring. Today, Caleb still goes to therapy, but the harsh symptoms that were troubling him in the past have mostly subsided. Caleb, a man once troubled with hearing voices, is now bringing a voice to himself by helping others around the world.